Good afternoon, boys and girls. Here we are yet for another reveal. This one's coin roll hunt number 298. Can you believe we've almost been through 300 of these since I started numbering them, actually? We've done more than 300, actually. This is number 298, and it is the 6th of August, 2021, middle of the afternoon, 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. It is Friday. Hope everybody's doing well today. We have our roll ready to go. I had to get my microscope kicked in the butt. Actually, my microscope camera. The scope is fine. It doesn't even plug into the wall, so there's no electronics in the scope at all. The problem is the electronics of the camera, the cord, or the software, or something. I don't even know exactly what it is that's messed up about it. Let me get this light off of here so it makes things easier. This is a 1970S original bank wrap roll. It's a bank wrap roll, but some people might not call it a bank wrap roll because it doesn't have the name of a bank on it, but it is an original machine wrapped roll from 1970. It is a San Francisco mint roll, and from all appearances on the outside of the roll, the coins appear that they're going to be in pretty nice shape. And this is one of those things that gets me all excited because 1970S has so many different possibilities. You have a major double die obverse, which there's some small chance that we could get. Those in an MS64 red are going to bring about 25,000 apiece. And then there is the opportunity of finding the small date, the 1970S small date. The small dates are very nice to get in a roll because, well, their value tends to run in a nice BU condition between $40 and $60. Something we could definitely get. Hello, Mr. Ignatz. And Mr. Buyer, Coin Hunter, Mac, Coin Junkie, Malcolm, all here ready to go. And I got the roll open, and the coins are pretty nice, it looks like. Looks like they're pretty nice. Okay, well, we won't know without starting, so let's get started. How about that? Here we go. Hello, Mr. Hurley. Malcolm, coin number 1. How about that? Somebody who happens to be in office right now. Well, this one's got some issues because it was scraped up during the rolling process. You could see Circle of Death on there. If it was a really nice double die, I'd almost be crying. But fortunately or unfortunately, whichever way you want to look at it, this one's not a double die obverse. Let's check the reverse and see if there's anything going on the reverse. There are a couple of double die reverses to be reckoned with on 1970S Lincoln Cents. And this one doesn't happen to be one at all. So we put his coin in a flip and we move forward. Coin number 2 now. Hey, Coin Dragon. Stonecutter. What do we get for Stonecutter? This is the second coin in the roll. I'm looking at a number of different areas, and I'm going to use my mouse now to point this out to you. We're watching for bars or extra, like little sticks up here from the 7, where I believe could be, it would be like a large date over small date, but they don't really show up the small date part of it. You only see a little bar. Sometimes the little bar will be underneath the 7 here. And then sometimes you'll get doubling on the inside of the 0 and a little hook down here on the bottom of the 0. That's definitely looking for that. Also looking for anything that shows any extra thickness or doubling in the motto. The double die obverse, the big one, is very highly obvious. You are so definitely not going to miss it. Let me bring it up and show it to you. I guess we could do this at the beginning of our broadcasts. Let me go to my website. And do a search for 1970. Oh, let me move this over so that you guys can actually see it. There we go. 1970. And we're going to check S-Mint. And we're going to do double die obverses. And hit submit. And this is the big one everybody's looking for. The photos that we have here are not very good, but you can't expect the best photos when the coins are so rare. This is the best I could get for photos, but it is a very strong double die. It looks a lot like the 1972 double die. And you will not see these frequently, but if we do happen to get one, they are quite valuable. A lot of these are proof and you're not going to see them. This is an example of what you see on the bar above the 7. You can see a little bar above the 7 there. That's an example of that type of double die for this year. And an example of the other type of double die. Let me get a better. I think I've got one right here that should show up a lot better. Yeah, much larger photos. And you can see right here that there's some doubling on the inside of the 0 as well as a hook on the bottom. That's basically a second 0 underneath your 0, and you just don't see it on the 9 or the 7 or anywhere. It's just on the 0. Hey, Brian. And so I have another one I want to show you if I can find it. There's another really nice double die obverse for 1970S. It's this one right here. You can see that there's a lot of class 2. It's spread toward the rim. So there's class 2 doubling in all the letters of Liberty. It's very extra thick. And you don't see a whole lot at the date, but there is just a little remnant of it at the date. And most of the rest of them are the little hooks like this. See, there's a hook there, and there's a little bit of doubling on the lower part of the 7. Those run, I'm going to say $10-15 a piece when you find those. The one with the doubling in Liberty, you're going to run probably $20 to $25 a piece. There's a couple of them that also show in the motto up here that would have class 1 doubling in the motto, and if it's a later die state, it just looks like extra thickness side to side. But that's kind of what we're looking for here, along with the possibility we could find a little bit of extra thickness in the I just got confused by something here. Hang on. Okay. A little bit of extra thickness in the initials on the bottom toward the right of the memorial. That's the other stuff that we're kind of looking for. All right. Thomas, I'm listening to you, buddy. I really am. I sometimes when you get to driving a car, you just driving a car and you just driving a car, and then someday somebody gets in a car and they don't know how to drive and they want to understand. You don't really think about all the steps. You just think about what you do every day. And you just get it done. And it's kind of, somebody has to slow you down once in a while and say, hey, could you slow down a little bit, because I don't really understand this, and I'm trying to. I heard you, man, loud and clear. Any little morsels of information I can try to give people while I'm doing this is all good for me, because, well, I enjoy the idea of being able to help people out, but at the same time, it actually helps me financially in the sense that people who listen to me and people who hear what I have to say understand that I do have a pretty good way of talking about it, and they at times will come and spend money with me too, and I make a little bit of profit on that, and that's how I keep my light bill on. So I appreciate everything. You guys appreciate me. I appreciate you. Symbiotic relationship. We all work together. Found a number 7 in a roll from me a while back. Number 5 and number 7 tend to pop up in rolls once in a while. If you're patient and you wait for them, you will find them eventually. I don't see anything there. Oh, there's a die crack. That's one of those, what they call a spiked head die crack. Spiked head meaning that it goes all the way to the rim above the head. This one goes all the way down to the ear. I've seen them before go all the way through. I mean, all the way bottom to top. Not very common, but I've seen it. And this one's not really anything. One thing that you might notice is that little mark right here on the S, and you're wondering, hey, that might be a doubled S. And then these little marks down here, well, they are different things. This one's actually a hit. Something hit the S and made that little concavity. You can see 2 more of them over here. That's just damage on the mint mark. Then the other thing is this little bulb of stuff over here is actually part of the base of the S punch. So you're seeing what came through from the bottom of the S punch. It's not a repunching, it's just a deep punching. You have to imagine, if you think about the old leatherwork tools that you used to use at the Tandy Leather place, and they look like a little, I don't know, a little chisel type thing with a head on the end of it that's got a design. Just a little stick with a design on the end of it, and you put it into the leather and then hit it a little bit with a mallet and it sinks down into the leather. See, there's another one with the same ickety-ick going on with the mint mark. This one could be actually be a hub hit. The hub got messed up. And it's transferring to the dies, which transfer to the coins. But I'm only going to go through the first 10 on the reverse as well, because the reverse is not nearly as exciting as the potential obverse that you could have. We will be checking these again. But if I get through 10 coins and don't find anything, it's going to be relatively safe to assume that we're not going to find anything on the reverses. I was in the middle of saying something now. I don't remember what it was. Hello, Miss Melanie. Time Travelers Coin Exchange. Jesse Guzum. Yeah, some of the things that kind of look like RPMs but aren't. Well, see, there's another one with a cut straight across the S. That must be hub damage, because it's definitely not an RPM. What I'm talking about is this little spot right here that shows, and I'm circling it with my little hand, and it shows, it looks like, I mean, it is concavity, it is a mark, but it can't be in the die because that would be raised. Unless it's a problem with the punch itself. It could be a problem with the punch itself, that when it was punched into the die and then reversed back over to be punched into coins, you're going positive to negative to positive. So your punch would be a positive relief, just like it is on the coin, so that when it hit the die would have a negative relief. It's kind of like, well, it's really very much like cookie cutter type stuff. Your cookie cutter has a hole in it for the dough to go into. Well, your whole part, your cookie cutter, is actually the die, and then your coin is the part that goes into that hole. Well, if you think about the hole and the designs in the hole, if you want a little flower on your cookie that stands out, it's going to have to be sunken in on your cookie cutter so that it stands out on the final dough. So the same thing works with coins. And if you think about the different steps from making your master die all the way through making the coins, your master die is going to be you have a master hub first. Master hub created with the Hanveer lathe, a reduction lathe, or now it's done by computer. Used to be done with a lathe that would make a large version and plate it in brass, and they called that a galvano. And a galvano was what they traced with a needle over the galvano, and then it eventually would go down to the size of the coin on this lathe. And that what they would have at that point would be the master hub. The master hub would be created, or would be used to create master dies. Master dies would in turn be used to create working hubs. Working hubs, the master die would make a couple of dozen working hubs. Each working hub would make a couple of dozen working dies. The working dies actually make the coins. By the time you take this labyrinth of pyramid effect from beginning to end, from the master hub all the way down to the working dies, you're talking about hundreds of working dies made from one master hub. So I'm convinced now that this actually does have something to do with the die itself, because I'm seeing that's not coin damage. I'm seeing that same thing on every one of these. You've got two little marks right here, and then you've got one mark right over here. It's not a repunch mint mark, but it is damage to a punch or damage to a hub. It's not going to be damage to the die because, well, it would have to be sunken in on the die for it to be damage. Imagine hitting it with a screwdriver or something. Then when you put a dent in the die and you mint a coin with a die with a dent in it, you're going to have a raised area on the coin, not a dent. These little things are definitely dents on the coin. So that had to have happened to the hub. Oh, Time Traveler's Coin Exchange is going to get us all double dies. We don't even need to search this roll. Thank you, Time Traveler's Coin Exchange. I will give you the address to which you can submit your donation. Let's see, where are we here? So we've got those same marks in the mint mark again. I've definitely got a different die. So this is definitely an issue that has to do with some hits placed on a hub. I have never noticed that before today. Brian, what about you? Did you know about that at all? We're talking about the two little marks right here, and then the one mark right here on the S mint mark. Seems to be multiple dies affected. And it's just a little tiny minor, hey, look at this. It's not really a, wow, look at this. It's just kind of cute, kind of nifty, something that we can know. And get out of the habit of having to see your designs straight up and down all the time. You want to see everything at different angles so you can see the doubling. That looks like it's, I don't know. It's odd that I have to refocus this to get it to show up right. Where am I? Wow, I'm way out there. There we go. How about that? That might be a little bit better. Well, it could be. So we do know, Brian, that there is punch damage? Because if we know there is punch damage, then yes, this is definitely punch damage. That would make sense. Something hit the punch and created these little divots in the punch, which are transferring over to the dies. Let's see, this one's not as deep. Doesn't quite look the same. That is machine doubling right there, folks. Machine doubling is very common on 1970. Here's a continuation of your machine doubling on the ST of Trust. So you can definitely see that it's machine doubling. Machine doubling, once again, it's going to be very flat looking. It's not going to be humped up like a letter would be. And it is going to take away from the normal profile width of the letter or number. Let's say the detail element, which in coins we call a device. So it takes away from the overall thickness of your device. I'm thinking the same thing, Malcolm. Sounds like it is an issue with the punch itself. It can't be a part of a hub thing because, well, mint marks were not hubbed at that point in time. Mint marks were punched individually into the dies. So there it is again, showing what appears to be the same mint mark damage. I'm going to take a picture of this real quick. This one's actually kind of pretty. I'm going to take a picture of it so I can put it on copper coins. It's not a new discovery. It's just something that I've never noticed. I'm not sure how many of you have ever noticed it, but I'm willing to say I didn't know it was there. Let me get the light shining on it just right. There we go. Turn my gain up a little bit so you can see it better. Rotate my camera so that it sits straight up and down. Focus in just a little bit better. There we go. And now I'm going to take a picture of it. You guys didn't even notice that happen, but I took a picture of it. That's my picture. If anybody wants to screenshot that and keep it, they can. I think it's damaged too, Brian, and it may be something that I can't believe that this would be something we just discovered. This has to be something people knew about. I didn't know about it, but I'm certain other people have to have. But I've got a picture of it now, so we can eventually get that on copper coins. Not as a die variety, but as a, hey, did you know this? Let me get my gain back down so we can actually see what we're doing here. There we go. Yeah, that's got to be damage to the punch. I was thinking about hub damage. Hub damage, it can't be hub damage. Only if the mint mark were in the hub. The mint mark is not in the hub. The mint marks are placed directly onto the working dies up until 1990. 1990 is when they were in the hub. There's another, see, there's another different die with that same mark. I'm seeing different dies because I'm seeing other markers that are indeed different. I don't know what's going on with this coin right in the middle of a bank wrapped roll, and it's kind of fugly looking. There's well, that's either die gouges or a counterclash of some sort. I would call it die gouges until I could prove that it was a counterclash, and I'm really not interested in going through all steps it takes to prove that it's a counterclash. What you have to do with that is you have to take the design, you have to take an overlay of the design and put it over that area and see if any design elements match size and shape of what you have. See, here's another different die that has the same marks on the mint mark. And this is, this die, this particular coin, I'm sorry, is a very nice one. Oh, I might have spoke early, but it's brighter, it's prettier. Middle of a bank wrap roll, it damn well should be, right? You don't get bank wrap rolls of 1970s very often. Oops. Mr. McBride. I pulled two coins at once. There we go. Mr. McBride. And the unfortunate thing to this is that we've now been through 15 coins in the roll, and I haven't found anything yet. Which tells me there's every possibility this could be a dud roll. I don't like dud rolls, but in order for the stuff that we're looking for to be valuable, you can't find it all the time. If you find it all the time, then it's not valuable because it's plentiful. Kind of like that, Joe. Kind of. You have to. He's talking about the overlay You have to do a transparency overlay of the area that you think is a counterclash, and then go to your, so you don't have it on this die. You go back and forth between your design and your suspect coin, and you're moving things around until you find something that fits. And sometimes that find something that fits tends to be a little bit more of a active imagination than reality. I'm just saying, sometimes. There was a person once who dealt in looking at coins a lot and was a die variety person. And there's another different spiked head. The last one went through the W, and this one goes between the W and the E. But this person tended to spend a lot of time trying to prove some very wild characteristics on coins. A couple of them he made off with, and they were pretty nice. But other ones, well, I think they left the business with him. Let's see, were the working dies ever reworked after the single squeeze hubbing? Reworked, meaning were they ever squeezed a second time? Yes, definitely. Not all single squeeze dies are good on the first squeeze, and they look at the die and they're like, okay, well, we need to do a little bit better with this one. And then they squeeze them another time. When they squeeze them another time, of course, some of the elements of the first squeeze can show through, and then you have a double die. Yes, that can happen. The dies or hubs are also known to pop into position while the hubbing is occurring. That's what causes the little column doubling on the inside of the memorial, and also causes the it causes the stretched lettering that you sometimes see. Little die crack on the bottom of the lapel there. Nothing else really on this one. So that's going to be coin number 19 for Randy. And now coin number 20, Mr. McBride. Hello, Patrick. Seems like every single one of these has that same damage on the mint mark. So looks to me like a punch issue. And these are definitely different dies. I mean, you can see all kinds of different kinds of markers that definitely are not shared between dies. There's also two other things that you see on pretty much every one of these. One of them is going to be a notch on the upper outside of the L. That is another, just a normal part of the design. The other is this little pit in the corner of the E. Some people might mistake that for a double die, but it is not. And this is not a double die either. These are just things that happened to the design prior to making it to the working dies. And so they are way up in the chain, in the food chain of die creation, which means that there's going to be a whole bunch of dies with that on it. Mac didn't get anything this time around. We are in need of a nice roll here. We're getting a decent roll of coins, but we have no die varieties found so far. Nothing that we have seen. Let's see here. Not really getting much of anything out of this. But we are, learning together. San Francisco used 69S die reverses to make 70S coins. They look identical. The only way that you would actually be able to prove that is to find a 70S reverse with the exact same reverse markers as a 69S reverse. I do understand what you're saying, but most of the time when they would be at end of year ready to switch out to the next year, they would replace both the obverse and reverse dies just to give everything a good fresh start. had nothing to do with trying not to share the reverse dies from one year to the next. It does and has happened. It's more the idea that if they're going to stop the machines to change dies, they may as well change the reverse ones as well. There are some really pretty coins in this roll. Unfortunately, it doesn't appear as though we're going to have die varieties, though, which is the desired effect. Brian, what do you think about this right here? I've seen that a couple of times. It doesn't show up on the 7 or the 0, but it does show right here on the 9. Hello, DT Silver Coin Hunter. Brian or Eric or any of our other Coin Dragon, any of our other experienced coin hunters, you think that's a double die? I'm going to say it probably is too, because, I mean, why wouldn't it be, right? It looks just like the little bar that comes below the 7 or the little bar below the 0. Yes, you have a twin now, Coin Hunter. Time to go back to Jar Jar Binks. Can't really see it at all angles. But it's definitely there. We're talking about this little extra loop on the inside of the 9, right up here. I wouldn't be able to go with a class 5. I don't think it's class 7, but it may be. Well, Class 8 would be tilted. That would only show toward the outside edge of the design, depending on whose Class 8 you're talking about. All right, we'll hold this out. We'll hold this out. We will get a second opine on it. I have seen a few of these already in this roll, so there will be others. And this one's for Yo Man. This bud's for you. I didn't say that. This coin's for you. For all you do. This coin is for you. You see that little notch up there on the L like I was telling you about? The little thing down, the little beady thing down here on the E. It's on a lot of 1970s large date Lincoln cents. Melanie's trying to remind everyone to go like the video and subscribe too. If you're not already subscribed, if you subscribe to us and hit that notification button, you will get notifications of future shows when they are scheduled. And that will keep you from missing my broadcasts and the broadcasts of Jessica Johnson, who also does Copper Coins videos and auctions. Yeah, see, there's something else that sort of looks like it, but it's not as strong. I'm pretty sure it's a different die. We're going to have to take a group look at that, I think. Let me throw this other one back up there and see if we can find any markers from which we would determine other examples of the same die. So I have a die scratch. It looks like a die scratch northeast off the 0 of the date. Try to find something a little better than that, though. This one is the spiked head that goes between the W and the E. So that's our definite candidate for a double die. Let's see if this coin, the new one for Farm Dog, has the same crack. It does not, but it does have a hint remnant of what looks like little blop on the top of the 0, that would look familiar simply because that is one of the known markers of a large date coin. The little hump on the top of the 0 and the fact that the 0 is oval and not round, because the small date 0 is round. And then you've got this little crease right here that comes across the 7. That also indicates large date. And no matter what angle you look at it from, the bottom of the 7 is lower than the 0. But I can turn it around to where it's straight up and down for you, and you will see that the bottom of the 7 is lower than the 0. The top of the 7 is lower than the 0. Basically, it looks like the 7 is shifted downward. And on the small date, the 7 is very even with the sides of the top and bottom of the 0. Another thing is the 9 here. This 9, if you take it and follow it through where it's pointing toward the bottom of the 7. The small date has a much more hooked 9 that actually points back in toward the middle of the 7. So if it points at the bottom of the 7, then it's a large date. If it points to the middle of the 7, it's a small date. Just some little tidbits of information for you. You can always come back to the video and watch that again. I ought to bring out a small date and show it to you, but I'm actually going to do a video on this. Another one for Chris. And see, this one does not have any sign of what we're seeing as doubling on the inside of the 9. No sign of it. Another way a lot of people try to use the Liberty to find the difference between the large date and the small date. And that works if you have another coin to compare it to. See, because on a lot of the large dates, this one's a large date, and on a lot of the large dates, the Liberty is going to be a little bit weak around the BER in the middle. And it's going to confuse you if you try using Liberty to tell the difference. It is not one of the better markers. The fact that the entire date has a different shape than the large date is what really can make the difference in your day going through 1970 S rolls. And yes, the large date and small dates are only on the S Mint. They're on the proof and the business strike coins, but it's only the S Mint. There's the other spiked head die crack. So we're finding two different ones in the roll. I'm going to go through just for the sake of being able to tell you guys, and I do have a very good marker to use, so it will not take me long. I'm going to go with my loop through the coins that we've already seen to see if I can find a pair. Number 1 is not. Number 2 is not. Number 3 is not. Number 4 is not. Number 5 is not. 6, 7. I know we saw another one of these at one point. I'll bring the other one out. We can look at it. I know the die very well, so it won't be hard to find. And I know we have at least one more. It may only be one more. Okay, here it is. There's one for sure. It's coin number 17, Adam Connor. This is the kind of stuff we go through when we are... Here's another one. Jim Fletcher, number 21. when we are working through these rolls. We're finding attributes, we're finding markers, we're finding characteristics. We're going through them more than once, sometimes 3 or 4 times to go through the roll and sort the roll out die for die. And then we have to find markers somewhere that match, or prove that there are no markers that match. It takes a lot of time, people. A lot of time. Okay. So I found 2 more. This one belongs to Jim Fletcher. It is the same die, but it does not appear. Well, it does actually. It does have it. You just have to have it tipped right to the light to show it. But this is the same die. It's got the die crack running between the W and the E. So I'll put that one on the stack. That's number 21 for Jim Fletcher. And then we have coin number 17 for Adam Connor. That's this one. You can tell it's got the same die crack. We come down here and we look, and yes, it does have the little thing on the inside of the 9. So we may be looking at, it could be a new discovery, because I don't know of one like this anywhere. So we'll keep moving. We've got coin number 30 for Thomas. And no die crack up there. So I need to get this focused. Hocus focus. Okay. Nothing there on Thomas's coin. Here's coin number 31, Coin Hunter. Coin Hunter number 31. Okay, this one's a later dice date than a lot of the other ones I've seen. Quite late. As soon as I figure out what I'm looking for, they stop showing up. My luck runs thin and wears off on other people. Maybe I should have my wife go through these rolls. She goes through them, I just do the talking. That way it's not me handling the coins. Throwing bad luck all over the place. Here's Carl. Carl now with looks like it may be one of them. Okay, so we have that. Is it going to have the die crack or no? No. Does not have the die crack. It is not the same die. So are we looking at something that's just an anomaly, or are we looking at actual hub doubling? Rhonda Tulliver, how you doing? Yeah, I'm kind of wondering if whether or not this is actually anything for us to be concerned about. I'm going to pull this one out as a separate die, and we'll keep going just to see what we find. Here's Mike Birchman. Okay, this one doesn't have it at all, and it should not have the die crack, and it does not. So we keep looking, we keep trying, we keep finding. Here's another one for Jim Fletcher. Let's see what Jim gets. Well, the doubling is not there. It's a later dice date coin. I believe this one matches a different die that we've been through. It does not have the crack, so it's going to be a normal coin. Number 36 now. Number 36. Myself and the missus are doing fine. Thank you very much. I hope the same for you. The doubling doesn't appear to be there, and the die crack is not there, so we definitely have another die again. Go Wi-Fi coming up next here. And Go Wi-Fi gets... It's an interesting little guy. The top of the 0 looks like it could be just a little bit thicker than normal. So let's take a look at the rest. We would have extra thick letters in A God We Trust, which we do not have. So I'm just fooling myself. But you do have that little notch in the top of the L. You can barely see it there. You can barely see the little hole in the bottom of the E, but they are definitely there. Zach Lane. I don't know Zach Lane. I don't know the name. Not been in here that I know of. I mean, a lot of people come and go out of these broadcasts and they don't ever say anything. If they don't say anything, I don't notice that they're here. Nothing on that one either. Move on to number 39 for Go Wi-Fi. And Go Wi-Fi gets... Looks like it's going to turn out to be another normal one. Yep. All right. Coin number 40 now. Mr. Crescent. And Mr. Crescent gets... This one's going to be one of the normal ones. $41. Mac McBride. Let's see what Mac gets. Yep. Nothing there. Folks, don't forget that we do have another reveal coming up this afternoon, later this afternoon. It's going to be at, I believe, 6 or 7 p.m. I can't remember exactly when I scheduled it for. If somebody could check out, appreciate it. 6 or 7 p.m., one or the other. And then at 9 p.m., we're going to be doing the proof pool. We'll have a couple of hundred proof coins that people have paid $2 a whack to get, and there's going to be wheats involved. There's going to be wheat coins. There are going to be memorials. Some of the memorials are from the slightly tougher dates to get. Another one for Chris Hurley. Nothing going on there. Let me see if I can find the scheduled time for my next reveal. $7 p.m. Okay. Coin Hunter got it for me. Thank you very much, Coin Hunter. 7 p.m. Eastern time. All my times are Eastern. So when you hear something come from me, it's going to be Eastern time. It's on my clock. Just a little rundown here for you of the rolls we have coming up next week, though. I'm not going to put up anything on the screen, but I'm going to tell you what they are. So listen up. We're going to do a 1960D large date roll first next week, and then we're going to have a 1984 Philadelphia roll, 84 Philadelphia, where we're going to be looking for doubled ear at Lincoln Cents. Then we're going to do a 1955 roll, 1955, then 1954S. Then we're going to have a 2020 Philadelphia roll that will likely have nice double dies in it. Then we're going to do a 1957D, 1956D, and a 1953D. That's going to be all next week. Those spots will be for sale coming up Tuesday evening at 8 p.m. Tuesday evening, 8 p.m. is the Copper Coins auction, a Tuesday evening auction. That's where I sell the spots for upcoming reveal shows. Make sure you mark your calendar. Or the best thing to do, actually, is to make sure that you register early. And if you register early, as in now, we will send you an email in plenty of time to remind you of the upcoming auction sometime Tuesday noon, sometime thereafter. It'll be a few hours before the auction starts. That would give you a good reminder and give you a chance to get ready for it. With this week's auction, we are going to have some singles. Actually, some pretty good singles. There's going to be a 1909S. There's going to be a 1931S. There will be other goodies to be paying attention to. A lot of nice toned coins. Just a good old down-home good time auction. Be starting things way below market value. That way, if you happen to be lucky, you'll be able to chime in and make a bid on something and get it cheap. Yeah, that's the primary reason why we like to send out. Oh man, my camera messed up. Eric, we need to fix this problem. We will use just this part. Nope. Don't pay any attention to the blue-purple area. Just watch this area that I have here. I'll back the scope out a little bit and make it a little easier to see what's going on. At this point, we're really kind of only looking for two different dies anyway, and both of them should be relatively simple to spot. Now number 48. We got 3 coins left, so I'm not going to go restarting my computer just to get the camera working right. Okay, this one is one of the normal dies. It's got a big set of die scratches underneath the in. I've seen plenty of those in this roll. That's 48, now 49. 49 goes to Mr. Crescent. And that's another one of the same. And so we move on to coin number 50, last and final coin in the roll to attempt to get our, well, let's say supposed double die obverse. We're not really sure 100%. That could be one of them. It is. Unfortunately, it's got the circle of death because it was at the end of a Batdorf roll. But it is one of our suspected double die obverses with the doubling inside the upper curl of the 9. So this one goes to Adam Chambers. And that's it for this roll. We have about 45 normal coins, and then we have 4 examples of our suspected double die. It's number 21, 23, 17, and 50. We've got Jim Fletcher, Chris Hurley, Adam Connor, and Adam Chambers. And we have one that is a suspected different possible die. Coin number 33 goes to Carl Ignatz. And that is what we have, boys and girls, for this time around. I do appreciate you dropping by, and please don't forget that we do have another show, another 2 shows actually, coming up today. See if you can make a little bit of room in your calendar and watch us, and make a little bit of room in your heart to like the show and subscribe to the channel, because it really helps us out a lot. I appreciate it, folks. You guys have a great afternoon, and I will see you on the flip side.